Right, hi, good afternoon. This is Richard with the Homeschool Freedom Club, and today I've got a guest with me, Sarah McCalden, who is going to be running her workshop on developing your positive wealth mindset. So, Sarah, some of you may know her. You'll have seen I have had her in a group before. She's been a coach with DBM. She runs her group, the Money Club, and she's a best-selling author and has had a very interesting life's journey, which you'll know if you've read the post that I put out. So I'm not going to say too much more. I'm going to hand you over to Sarah now.
Great. Hey, thanks, Richard. And welcome everybody who's watching on Facebook and also here in the Zoom room. So, like Richard said, I'm Sarah McCalden. I am a coach, money mentor, and Jack Canfield speaker and trainer. And I really love all things to do with the success principles. Well, I don't have the book here, but the success principles is the book that Jack Canfield wrote, and also money mindset. I've had a couple of uh, transformations. I guess that's the right word, although it doesn't quite seem like it gives my story justice. But anyway, I'm really grateful to be here with you guys today, and really the purpose of today's workshop is to help you to gain clarity on what's holding you back and what you can do to keep pushing yourself forward in your journey to creating wealth. So what we'll be doing during the next 60 minutes or so is looking at what wealth means to you, your beliefs about money and the decisions that you've been making about money. And we'll be creating some new beliefs and decisions that better serve you. So we'll look at also using the power of releasing a technique that I'll introduce to you in order to accelerate your wealth mindset and what actions you will need to prioritize next. So what I'd like to spend a little time doing is just, um, you know, uh, have you guys think about what the purpose of money is in your life today. So it's quite a deep question, but I want you to have a go. So we'll just give you guys, Richard and Amy, a couple of minutes here to think about what's the purpose of money in your life today. And then I'd like you guys to share, if you wouldn't mind. Any thoughts?
Yeah, for me, money it's a facilitator. It facilitates my chosen lifestyle, um, and I guess I also see it as to a degree representing freedom, because without money, your choices are reduced as to the things that you can do in life, the things you want to achieve. And one of the purposes of this group is to help parents to earn an income so they can afford to home ed, because you quite often can't afford to lose an income. But if you can't afford to lose that income, you don't have the choice to home ed, or it's much reduced. So for me, it's facilitation and freedom.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Richard.
Yeah, I think I agree a lot with Dad on that one. For me, it's sort of it's putting me through my uni degree. It's giving me an education. It's also allowing me to go and see new places in the world, allowing me to travel, and just explore. And yeah, it's just enabling me to do more, I guess, than if I didn't have it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, thank you both for sharing. So another question for you guys. I just want you to, if you've got a pen and a piece of paper there, spend a couple of minutes writing down what wealthy means to you. We've spoken about what money, what the purpose of money is in your life, but what does wealthy mean to you, and how much money do you need to be wealthy? For you to be wealthy, I mean, I'm talking about you specifically. And if you don't know, I want you to really consider it and ballpark it. What does wealth look like? What would your life be like with this amount of wealth that you're imagining? And go ahead and just write that down.
Is this like money coming in on a monthly basis, or is this like a sum that would keep you for the rest of your life kind of thing?
Well, it could be either, just depending on what your take, or what your take on that is. I mean, for me personally, it would be both. A figure for my net worth, and also a figure, like a monthly cash flow figure. And I'd really say that wealth is a place where money is no longer a source of stress or distraction, but it's really a powerful tool for crafting a secure and meaningful life. And where money is a tool that we can competently and confidently enjoy. So what does that look like for you specifically in your life? Just give you a minute or two. What comes up for you, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, the things that you mentioned, obviously security, and just that lack of stress, having to wonder, what's coming next? Have I got enough money to survive if all my sources of income suddenly disappeared, or whatever? But it is definitely that stress-free element. But I do also feel that it's wealth enables you to build for your children's future as well. You can secure their future too. And I also believe it's a tool to do good as well. It's you can make a lot of positive impact with wealth. The more you've got, actually, probably the bigger impact you can make in a positive way in the world. So they're the main things for me.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Richard. Steve.
Sorry. Hiya. Yeah, for me, I agree with that. Sort of the no stress element of it. I'd say if you're able to get by and sort of sustain yourself, in everyday living without having to worry about when your next paycheck's coming in, that'd be quite nice. But also the ability to go and sort of, as I say, I'd like to travel. So for me, it'd be amazing if I could do that and not have the stress of, everything else. But I don't know if I took the question the wrong way, but I was going to also say, for me, like having like close relationships with my friends and family, I also see as wealth, like having sort of people around me to support me. For me, makes me feel quite wealthy. I don't know if I've sort of gone off the wrong way, but for me,
no, that's great. That's great, and it's true. I mean, what you're saying is absolutely true. We can be wealthy in all kinds of different ways, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and welcome, Michelle. I see
Hello.
you there.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a bit late. Sorry, I'm dipping in and out because I've got the two kiddies with me, so I'll have to dip in and out.
All right,
Thank
no
you.
worries. We were just talking there about what wealth means to you, and you know, I asked Richard and Steve to come up with like a figure, like what would your life look like when you would regard yourself as wealthy? Um, and I wonder if you've got any thoughts just off the cuff there, because I know you've just come in.
Yeah. If what my life would look like if I was wealthy, well, it would be I would be a lot more freer, and not so time restricted, and I'd be living in a lovely big house by the sea, not having to worry about bills, and just be financially free to actually live.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at what limits us, or really how we limit ourselves. So if you think about the beliefs that you've been carrying around since you were a child about money, you know, what are those beliefs? It could be things like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, or money doesn't grow on trees, or that you need money to make money, or I'm not good with money, or there's never enough money, or having money is selfish, or money doesn't buy happiness, or money is the root of all evil, or even, you know, more money, more problems. That reminds me of when I was 17 and that song. Oh God, I can't even think of who that was by. But anyway, I was living in America at the time. Anyway, so just have a think about what those things are, and if you could just you know, like make a note of them. Some of the limiting beliefs. Just as many as you can that you're aware of.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry. Are you asking us as individuals, or are we coming back to you on that straight away?
Well, I wanted you to just make a note of them
Okay.
first, and
Yeah.
then we'll talk about them in a couple of minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't got a pen to make a note, but I've mentally made a note. So
All right, no,
I'm
that's great. That's
not
fine.
prepared.
No worries. And you know, the other thing I want you guys to do as well is to make a note of some of the limiting decisions that you've made about money. You know, and if this might be a little bit tricky, or it might not be, but you know, just let your mind be quiet and know that those answers that come to you are the right ones. And you know, a decision might be for wealth to bring pain and misery to someone's adult family because it seemed to bring it to their family when they were a child, right? Or it might be to not earn more than your dad because it might upset him, or it might mean to stay working or middle class because becoming wealthy would violate your family code. You know, you become one of the bad guys by becoming wealthy. I mean, it could really be anything. I mean, those are just a few examples. But if you're aware of any of those limiting decisions, just make a note of it.
It's an interesting one, because I don't know if it's a generational thing and if it's the same maybe now, but I'm a lot more open with my kids about money than my parents were with me. Money just wasn't talked about. You didn't ask your parents what they earned. You didn't, it was kind of a like a stigma almost attached to money, and talking about it was a bad thing.
Yeah. It was definitely the same for me when I was growing up. I mean, or when I was an older teenager, actually, I remember wanting to know about money from my dad,
Yeah.
and he just wouldn't ever have those conversations with me because it was none of my business. That's what he would say. It's none of your business, Sarah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be really difficult to live with conflicting views about money. I think many of us, we've been brought up in households where we heard adults talk about how awful wealthy people are, how selfish they are, how they take advantage of the poor, how evil they are because they don't care about the harm that they're causing. I mean, that was certainly the conversation that the adults in, our extended family were having when I was young in the 1980s.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go on.
No, you
No,
go on.
no, I was going to say that people often conflate money with being bad. I mean, there's a lot of conditioning, isn't there? The sort of the archetypal sort of Bond villain or whatever, this billionaire that lives in a volcano somewhere. But I think also, that like the quote "money is the root of all evil" is actually misquoted. It's the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And I can see that, but money's just a tool, and you can use
It's
it.
neutral. It's neutral, and it gives us, it depends on your viewpoint, and it's absolutely a choice whether or not we want to believe that.
Yeah.
To change, to change our views, to see money as a positive thing in our lives, if we don't already.
Yeah.
And like you were saying there about the James Bond villain, so we grow up with the message that money and rich people are bad.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it would be better to have more money. If you had more money, you could buy better things and have more opportunities come your way. So it would be good to have money, right? And these two are like conflicting views about money. Money's bad, but I want more money because I can do good things with it. It makes us feel uncomfortable. And so what do people tend to do? I think that quite often people choose choose in favor of the belief that's easiest to live with.
Yeah.
And it might be, for some people to live with the belief that money is bad, because then you don't have to feel so bad that you don't earn a lot of money and you won't need to work hard or save any money. And then you unconsciously carry that belief onto the young people in your life, and that cycle repeats. And I think it's just been cycled down through the generations, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's like I say, with money, it's just the intention behind it.
Yeah. So what we're going to do right now is just have a little play with one of our beliefs. And what I want you to do is just choose a belief that you wrote down or that you thought of, and just, it could be like nobody likes to talk about money. That's a belief. And I want you to write it again at the top of a new sheet of paper. I know, Michelle, you don't have a piece of paper.
No,
so just imagine that. Imagine that you're doing that, and so what we're going to do is turn around that limiting belief by challenging it. By making fun of it, by arguing with it, and you can do this by brainstorming a list of new beliefs that challenge it, you know, and I guess the more outrageous that you make it, the more powerful that resulting shift will be. So just have a go at challenging that belief that you're thinking of.
When you say have a go at challenging that belief, like how do we go about changing that belief or challenging that belief?
Well, so like if I think about that belief, nobody likes to talk about money. I mean, I would maybe write down something like, well, everybody loves to talk about money, or
Okay.
it's fun to talk about how to attract money into my life with other like-minded people, or only stuck people hate talking about money, and I'm moving on up, you know, or whatever that thing is for you. Just have a little go at thinking something different.
Okay, am I allowed to say what that belief is?
Yeah, go on.
Because this is the whole point of me joining this Zoom, because I've had this really strong belief and it's affected my relationship with my husband and everything for such a long time, that making money is either a materialistic thing or it's greedy. And I remember we went to Harrods once in London, and it's the first time I've ever been there. I've never wanted to go there. And my husband said, come on, we went out for the day and we went into Harrods, and I literally stood in Harrods and bawled my eyes out crying, because I felt so uncomfortable in there. And it just didn't feel right. I was like, well, there's people in the world that are starving and are hungry, and then there's people in here spending thousands on pounds on one pair of shoes, and I just see it as really sort of greedy and, as I said, materialistic. And even me earning money, which I've now sort of finding that I'm overcoming, that I've seen that I'm not worthy enough of earning money because I'm being greedy.
So saying all of that stuff, like how could you in your own mind, what kind of things would you say to challenge those beliefs?
Well, this is what I need help with, because I don't know how to challenge those beliefs. Like I say affirmations like I'm a financially abundant woman, and lots of affirmations to try and sort of rewire my brain. But I've still kind of got this perception that money is a greedy thing to have and to keep.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be challenging that belief with, you know, like by saying to myself, I am worthy of being as wealthy as I want to be, and and it's not greedy to want more for myself. I mean, it's like the human condition, right, to want more for ourselves. And I mean, I think that, well, I've certainly learned, and Richard, I mean, I think you have as well, that because I might have more money than this person, however much money I have, it doesn't really, it's not taking away from the next person, because there is an infinite supply, right? I don't know, Richard, if you would agree with that now that I've said that out loud, but certainly there is an infinite supply, you know, and I think that everybody could be wealthy if they really want it. I mean, obviously we've got to go through our life's journey, and you know, I mean, certainly when I was in my 20s, I didn't I didn't know what I want. I didn't know what I wanted. And certainly I didn't feel worthy of being wealthy. I mean, that wasn't even in my consciousness, I don't think, at all.
Yeah, so going on what you've said, maybe challenging that belief is by me saying there is plenty for everybody and it's
Yeah.
not greedy. I'm not keeping it all to myself.
Yeah, and also the more money that you have, the more good you can do with it. I mean, I
Yeah.
think really like you can live the life that you want to live with more money, and you can give to the things that are important to you, whether that's your own family or the wider community. You know, like we're all here. I certainly believe as well that like this fulfillment in life, it comes from being of service to others, you know, like why, like I'm not sure what you do you know, in your work, Michelle, but I'm certain that it is that you're doing your work to help other people, correct?
Yeah.
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 Could you also throw in the point of you know, you've worked hard for that money, you know, you've earned it in a way, you know, if you go and you want to buy something for yourself, it's not greedy because you've put the work in to get that money to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think yeah, I think you've got to be careful. I'll just say this with a little point that you know, that we are, you know, if you're spending everything that you earn because you think that you deserve to spend everything you earn, then it's not, you know, it's not you're not building any wealth, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
just
yeah, of
be
course.
just to
I
be
mean, just sort of for like the little things, you know, sort of if you see like a, I don't know, a sort of, you know, a pair of shoes that you know, you've always wanted or something like that, you know, if you've,
mm,
yeah, if you've worked for it, obviously to build wealth, you can't be spending everything you bring in, but yeah, sort
yeah.
of the odd bits and bobs, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think one thing that goes along with that is to actually pay yourself first and pay it into some kind of investment once you've got like your emergency fund sorted and all of that kind of stuff. So Michelle, um, so if you know, if you think about that statement, oh, how, you know, having money, yeah, having money is greedy. I can't remember exactly what that was, but what would be like the antidote statement to that for you?
Um, I don't know. There is such a strong blockage that I have with this. I just don't actually know. Um, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it.
So even if you don't believe it, what could that statement be? What's like the opposite of that?
So sorry, I'm stumped for words because I've got two kids keep popping their head behind the door. And I'm like, 1 minute, 1 minute. Well, the opposite belief would be that I'm not greedy. I am worthy, and I am worthy of earning as much money as I want to live a financially free life. That would be the opposite of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a great statement, and I think that you should write that down. I really do. I mean,
Oh,
even if
my
you write it on
Wi-Fi's
your
gone
phone
off.
or write it
Can you hear
later,
me?
you know, just get that written down, and um maybe I do want to help you with that, but we can talk offline more about how I can help you. But uh so Richard, what about you? Did you come up with a
Yeah, I mean, so something similar to Michelle's actually, because I have this real block when it comes to going. Because we live in Cyprus. There's some very nice hotels and resorts there, and we got a very nice like 5-star hotel down the road from us, and like my wife likes to go there sometimes. We like grab like an afternoon tea or some cakes or something like that. or a drink or whatever. And I like fight tooth and nail. I hate going there because for me, like spending €8 on a piece of cake is just why. But she sees it very differently than me. And I don't know if that's like a poverty mindset on my part, which I think it maybe is, or if there's something like deeper there.
It definitely, I wonder, Richard, you did the Sacred Money Archetypes program with me last year.
Yeah.
I can tell you that's your accumulator, but I also wonder what your wife's archetypes are, because that would be really interesting to know.
I'll sit down with her actually and just go through and see if we can figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, like what's the underlying thought in your mind, when you're thinking about those €8 pieces of cake?
Yeah, I know. I think it's like fear. It's like there's not enough money around, or we might need that for something else tomorrow, or I don't know. Even like, because at the moment, things are a bit tight, but in the past they've been, from last year it was really good. But even then, I still was resistant to
yeah.
€8 on a piece of cake. And it just for me, it's and I think partly it maybe stems again from sort of like childhood, because my parents had a business that did very well, and then when I was in my sort of teens, about 13, 14, the business crashed. A business partner ripped my dad off to the tune of a lot of money, about 50 grand in the mid 80s, and after that, money was always an issue. And I wonder if that's what I can still kind of hear. It's it goes back to that. It's kind of rooted there somewhere.
Yeah. I definitely think that's interesting, but I think as well, I mean, only you know your own financial situation. I think sometimes, like, we hear, oh, well, like, in order to have a positive wealth consciousness, you need to be free with your money, and you just need to, if you want something, you can just go out and buy it.
Yeah.
But actually, we should be putting more thought into these things, right? And quite rightly, you are, and it might be, being okay with doing that like once a week or once a fortnight or something, but not sort of like every day, or it could be just little things like that. And I suppose one of my questions would be, why do you, or do you feel that it's an issue for you?
It has been. I mean, I've got better with it. And ironically, actually, the less money we've had, the better it's become, which you'd think it'd go the opposite way. So, it's a really strange one. I don't know, some kind of, I don't know, like a sort of slightly puritanical thing, sort of, oh my God, going to but I also, I never feel quite comfortable in those places anyway. And again, that's something I think deeper inside,
Yeah.
So you sort of look around, you sort of think, okay, all these, fairly wealthy, well-off people, and just don't feel comfortable in those surroundings. And I spent a lot of time in like 5-star hotels. It was part of my work for years and years and years. But that was always on company expenses, so it was fine.
Yeah. So that's so interesting. I'll just let Michelle back in here. Yeah. Steve, what about you?
Oh, hiya. Sorry, what was the question? I've been doing other bits in between.
No, we were just talking about like challenging that belief, that limiting belief.
Yeah, I suppose for me, I'm not sure whether it's a sort of belief or not, but sort of being at uni and stuff like that, obviously I haven't got masses of money spare, so I kind of, even if I suppose sort of similar to Dad's, if I see something that's sort of overly expensive and sort of, my friends are getting it or someone's getting it, it kind of, I don't know, it frustrates me a bit, like, I need to save this, I need to keep it so I can afford to buy, food next week or something like that. And seeing other people able to sort of splash out that little bit more. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm not sure quite what the belief is behind that.
What do you, well, if you did know, what would it be?
I honestly don't know. Sorry, I've been doing other bits and bobs. I'm just packing up for uni at the moment.
That's all
sort
right.
of in between.
That's all right. Right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to park that for a minute, and I can see that Michelle's back here.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I was trying to get back on the internet and it totally lost. I'm really sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little exercise. So like when you're creating new thoughts, it's really common to have competing thoughts. I mean, we've already spoken about it a little bit already today, but competing thoughts like this little voice in the back of your head that goes, who are you kidding, you'll never be wealthy, or how many times do I have to tell you, you have to have money to make money. When these things occur, and maybe you're do you guys have, do you know what I'm talking about, like the little voice? That, yeah, I mean, I think just about everybody has that little voice in their head, and
oh yeah, even at the moment when you're putting me on the spot and asking me a question, I've got this little voice going in the back of my head going, well, you're going to say the wrong answer, so maybe just don't say a word.
Yeah, I mean, all of these things, it's so interesting, like to become conscious of these things. So what I want you guys to do is just write down that, that objection, that little voice in the back of your head, whatever it's saying, just write it down, and I'm going to take you through this technique. So I want you to write it down, and then the technique is called the Sedona method. It was created by a guy called Hale Dwoskin. He's got a book and it's called the Sedona method. And I learned this.
I'm just going to go and grab a pen and a piece of paper sorry.
Yeah. All right, no worries.
You
No worries.
carry on. I'll just grab a pen, 1 second.
Okay. And I actually learned the Sedona method through my training with Jack Canfield. And it's really quick, but I think you guys will really like it and learn something here. So we'll just wait for Michelle to get back.
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay, great. So our tendency is to kind of resist or ignore the thoughts and feelings, but by doing that, we're just keeping them around. We're not dealing with them, so they're just staying and they keep coming up over and over and over again. But all you have to do really is to let yourself feel the feeling and then release it. And we can do this with our eyes closed so that you can focus more clearly on the feelings, right? So and I want you guys to remember that letting go and letting be is a choice, and it's really much easier than we tend to think. So just want you to look at that statement that you wrote down, and we'll just turn off our cameras here just for a little bit. I'll turn off mine as well, just for a little bit of privacy while we do this exercise. And I want you to ask yourself, with a focus on that statement that you've written down, what am I feeling right now? And just focus on whatever feeling arises as you experience that negative belief, that negative thought. And then ask yourself, could I welcome it and allow it? and just welcome that feeling and let it be as best you can. And now ask yourself, could I let it go? And yes and no are both acceptable answers. Could I let it go? And now ask yourself, would I let it go? Are you willing to let it go? And if the answer is no, or you're not sure, then I want you to ask yourself, would I rather have this feeling, or would I rather be free? And now, even if you'd rather have the feeling, ask yourself when. And this is just an invitation to let it go right now. And remember that letting go is a decision that you can make anytime that you choose. And when you do this in the future, just keep repeating the preceding steps as often as necessary until you feel free of that particular feeling. So I just would like you guys to open your eyes and turn on your cameras, and I'll turn on mine. And how was that for you guys? Would you mind sharing how that going through that process was for you?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense actually. Read the book, The Untethered Soul, and it talks a lot about the fact that your thoughts are just that, they're nothing. They're generated by your ego, not your consciousness, and that you have a choice basically with thoughts. You can choose to get involved in them, or you can choose to ignore them basically. But you do have a choice, and that everything you're talking about here, it's all about that choice, isn't it? We can choose to listen to these disempowering thoughts, or we can choose just to just observe them and then just let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Richard. What about you, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, when I initially come onto this call and I was telling you how I feel and I wrote down that feeling, it made me sort of not get palpitations, but I can actually feel it in my heart, actually writing it down. And then when I was going through the why and would I rather have that feeling? Of course, I wouldn't rather have that feeling. I'd rather not have it at all. I'd rather be able to feel free from that feeling. So as I was writing it down, I did sort of find it easier to sort of let go of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is so interesting. This is just what I need, to be honest. This is perfect, this session.
great. And it's nice. It's nice. And it's just us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Michelle. And Steve, what about you?
Sorry, if it's okay for a little bit, I'm just going to listen in rather than
Yeah, no, that's fine.
just
That's
sort of,
fine.
yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
crazy because like I've this belief stems back from my childhood. I know why I feel like it and how you can go through sort of 46 years of life feeling like it, and then it's like a light bulb moment and you think it's just a thought. You can turn it around and just I think I commented on your previous post about I had a belief coding session,
Oh, yeah.
and this goes hand in hand with that, and I feel like I'm on this new journey or this new path to getting where I want to be, but also helping others and not feeling greedy.
Yeah, I think it's just so interesting. Like, yeah, the greed, that feeling like you're being greedy by wanting. I mean, well, we're kind of going off topic here, but we do have a few minutes spare here. What do you really want for yourself in your future? Like really, like if you take out all of the stuff that you think that other people will judge you for.
I want to be able to not have to worry about the bills, that I've got enough money to not actually have to worry or budget, or budget to a certain extent, should I say, and be able to help others financially, and just to, ideally we would like to world school, because we already home educate. We've got that freedom, so yeah, that's the life that we are sort of craving.
Yeah.
Richard's life.
Yeah, I home educate my sons as well, actually. That I found, I can't even remember how I found your group, Richard, but somehow it popped up on my feed a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
And it's, life isn't always roses at this end, Michelle. We have our struggles with money at times
no.
as well. And
Yeah.
again, one of those things that I found, this is very much comes from my wife's side. She's very much, everything will be fine. I'm like, but it's got to come from somewhere. Where's it going to come from? And she's just like, no, it'll be fine. And every time we've needed money, money's just shown up in our lives. And it's when you
Yeah.
almost, I don't know, if you sort of release yourself from all that stress, and yeah, obviously it's always a worry that it can be in the back of your mind, but when you let go, it kind of, money's like an energy. It flows, and you can kind of choose how that flow goes. And I found, just by sort of just, there's certain situations where you're just forced to just go with it, and you have no choice, and you just have to put your trust in the fact that everything's going to be all right. And I don't know what you call it, the universe or whatever, it always delivers.
Yeah. And even if things like if you're expecting something that doesn't happen, even like the way that I think of these things now, when things don't go as I planned or expected, is that, well, that's okay, because it means that actually I'm on the road to something better than I imagined, and I just always take that viewpoint. I mean, obviously I haven't always thought like that. It's been a lot of like training my mind to to deal with the things that come up in my life. I think like these things, I think we're all human, like, and we all face similar challenges in our lives, whether it's about money or about other things. And it's just all in the way that we that we deal with them, right?
I think also that sometimes you get I mean, it's very easy to get locked into these cycles of money as well, isn't it, where you're doing well and then you lose out. And the trick is to learn why you don't have money all of a sudden. And for me, I learned a lot of, last year things were going really well, this year they're not going so well. But I've looked back on what I was doing then, and I can see the mistakes that I made that would have left me financially better off now had I not made them. And so sometimes it's just a good opportunity for reflection as well. I think when you're a bit short of money, and you can you can look back. I mean, it's probably not true for everyone, but I've found that if I look back and reflect, that I can see where I've gone wrong and I can improve that, and hopefully in the future I won't make those mistakes.
Yeah. Well, so actually that's the end of my workshop, you guys. But I do want everybody to just share, like one thing. I always end my workshops with one thing that you're taking away from today's session.
It was just a really useful reminder that these thoughts that I have around money are just thoughts. Actually, I know this stuff, but it's so easy to get stuck in your own head about things that it was really good just to remind that actually thoughts about money are the same as thoughts about everything else, and you can let those go as well. Actually, you can just say goodbye to them.
And you can take that observer position, right, as well, and you can say like, oh, I just thought this thought, isn't that interesting? And detach yourself from it in a sense. and become aware of it. I think a lot of the stuff comes from the unconscious, and just, you know, like keep bringing the awareness.
Yeah, and I think as well, like the biggest thing that I've learned today is that the mind is such a powerful thing, that it can be so powerful that it can have a massive negative impact on your life and hold you back. But that same power of the mind can have a positive effect in just the same way. So you just got to remember that it's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reframing.
Well, thanks you guys. I did Richard, just want to talk about my 14-day change your life challenge. It's actually free, and you can sign up to it. Can I put a link when you put your live post out? Can I attach a link to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do send me the link, and
Yeah.
I'll edit the post
Okay.
and add it on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thanks. And also, Michelle, I'm actually running a half-day workshop in September with Hal Taylor, who's also part of the DBM Academy, which Richard is in. But he's doing a free session this evening at 8:30. I know you might be putting your children to bed then, but if you can jump on, I'll send the link to Richard, and he can pass it on to you.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
All right.
I really appreciate your time. I've really enjoyed it, even though I've had to dip in and out. I'm glad I was able to be part of this meeting.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you
you
guys too. I'm grateful to have been able to come on and do this with you guys. So yeah, it's been good.
Thanks ever so much.
It's been beneficial. Thank you.
It's been
Thank
really
you.
wonderful
Thanks,
to have you here.
everybody.
It's been absolutely lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for coming and taking the time to present this. And yeah, send me the details about the 14-day money challenge. I'll put them in the group for people to have a look at and hopefully sort of participate in, because I've worked with Sarah before. I've done some of the courses before. You know, what she has to teach you is absolute gold dust. So yeah, you know, please do. I did a 30-day money challenge, which was really great. 14 days is more manageable. So yeah, please do it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Well, thanks you guys, and have a good afternoon. I'll see you
Sarah.
soon.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.